So we last week talked about greatest common factor, and those two things, greatest common factor and least common multiple, kind of are related, and they kind of get confused. So we're going to spend a little time talking about the differences between those two things. So the greatest common factor was the greatest number that divides evenly into a set of numbers. And that's actually going to be a smaller number than the least common multiple. Generally, the least common multiple is going to be bigger, even though that's kind of backwards of what you think, because least sounds like it should be a smaller number, and greatest sounds like it should be a bigger number. So the least common multiple is the smallest multiple of two or more numbers. So the smallest number that two numbers or more divide evenly into. So the LCM of 6 and 9 is 18. And then we're going to talk about how to get that in just a second. Okay? So this is the blue definition that you just glued in on page 11. And then down below you have this little cutout that says, make the cake for your numbers. And this time, instead of just multiplying what's on the left, we're going to multiply in the shape of an L. That's an easy way to help you remember how to find the least common multiple, because least common multiple makes an L, GCF doesn't. Okay, so hopefully that'll help you a little bit. So this is the definition we just did, and there's our cutout we just talked about. So let's do these numbers together. So make the cake for 24 and 16. Just start with that. We're going to find the least common multiple of 24 and 16. So I want you to just start by making the cake. Okay, so hopefully yours looks something like mine. You might have used 4 or you might have used 8 on the left-hand side. But as long as you have the total over here, 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, that works. So the greatest common factor is 8, but we're not looking for that. We're looking for the least common multiple. So for least common multiple, we're going to make a funny shaped L like this. See how all of that makes kind of a funny shaped L? So let that help you remember. If we multiply all of those numbers together, we're going to get the least common multiple. So the least common multiple is made up of these numbers: 2 times 2 times 2 times 1 times 3 times 2. Do you see what I used? You see I used these 3 2s, that 1, this 3, and this 2. Now from now on I'm going to leave that 1 off because you know I don't need it. But you know that's what I'm doing, is I'm using everything in the shape of this L, and I'm going to multiply it together. Don't get confused and try adding it. So, and it really does not matter what order you multiply it in, and I'm going to show you how I would do this if I was working this on my own. I would look at it and go, well, 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. I know that. Okay? And then 3 times 2, that's 6. And times 1, well, that doesn't really matter. It's just 1. And then I'm left with 8 times 6. What is 8 times 6? 48. Okay? That, to me, is the fastest way to multiply these. However, if you went across and just went 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, 24 times 2 is 48, you could do that too. I just find it easier to work with smaller numbers. So remember, because it's all multiplication, there doesn't matter what order we do it in. You can multiply in any order you want. Okay? So the least common multiple, remember, it makes the shape of an L, and we got 48. All right, let's do example 2. We have 6 and 5. Numbers that divide evenly into 6 and 5. Only one. Only one. Okay, so when it's only one, our L is just going to look like a straight line. We're just going to multiply 1 times 6 times 5, or just 6 times 5, and 6 times 5 is 30.
I get all these right.
Okay, do this one without any help from me. Let's see what you get. All right, how many people got this far? You may have used a different number. You may have said, oh, 10 goes into those. That's fine. As long as you got this number at the bottom, what does that equal? 2 times 2 times 5 times 2 times 3. What does it equal?
120.
120. Very good. All right, so this is the last thing I want us to do, but notice what's at the bottom of this question. I gave you these two numbers, 24 and 36, and I asked you to give me both the GCF and the LCM. So you're going to give me both of those. Okay? Do that now on your paper. All right. Raise your hand if you got this. Oh, you're still working. Some of you are there. So for greatest common factor, you should have gotten 12, because that was what was over here on this side. For least common multiple, you did all of that, and you should have gotten 72.
We